The door to the biker clubhouse creaked open. A boy no older than 8 stepped inside, his hands clutching coins and crumpled bills. The room fell silent. His eyes were swollen, his voice shaking. "Can you kill my stepmom?" What happened next would turn out nothing like anyone imagined. Before we start this story, tell us, where in the world are you watching from? Also, please subscribe to the channel. It will help us to bring you more inspiring stories every day. The Iron Horse Roadhouse was alive with smoke, laughter, and the clink of beer bottles. A jukebox hummed in the background, guitars screaming over the chatter of leather-clad men. Then the door opened. Heads turned. Silence dropped like a curtain. A boy, thin, pale, shoes too big for his feet, walked in. His fists clenched a mess of coins and wrinkled bills. He swallowed hard, eyes darting between the towering figures staring at him. "Please," he whispered, almost inaudible. Hawk, the chapter president, leaned forward from his chair. Tattoos crawled up his thick neck, but his eyes softened. He gestured the boy closer. "What's your name, son?" The boy licked his cracked lips. "Ethan." Hawk crouched down to meet his gaze. That's when Ethan said the words that froze every man in the room. "Will you kill my stepmom? I don't have much money, but she's hurting my little sister." The coins clattered as Ethan's tiny hands trembled, holding out his offering. Around him, hardened men who had stared down police lines and rival gangs shifted uncomfortably. Tank, built like a bear, muttered under his breath, "Jesus Christ." Hawk placed a steady hand on Ethan's shoulder. "Slow down, son. Why would you ask that?" Ethan's sleeve slipped back, revealing deep bruises running up his forearm. The boy flinched when Hawk touched him. Hawk's voice turned low, dangerous. "Who did this to you?" Ethan's chest heaved, as if the words themselves were heavy. "My stepmom, she doesn't like me. Says I look too much like my dad. She locks me outside, sometimes doesn't feed me. But last night, she said she's gonna hurt Lily." The mention of his sister's name cracked his voice. The bar erupted in curses. Knives tapped against wood. They were ready for blood, but Hawk raised his hand. "No one moves," he ordered. Something about this boy demanded more than rage. Hawk knelt eye-level with Ethan. The boy's face carried more pain than any child should ever know. "Where's Lily now?" Hawk asked gently. Ethan's eyes darted to the floor. "At home, she's only 4. She doesn't understand. If I don't go back, she'll be all alone with her." A chill ran through the room. These bikers, men who lived on the edge of law and loyalty, exchanged glances heavy with unspoken truths. Rocco, their medic, moved closer. "Let me look at him." He touched Ethan's ribs lightly. The boy winced hard. Rocco's expression darkened. "Couple cracked ribs, at least. He's been hit more than once." Tank slammed his fist into the bar. "That woman's dead." But Hawk stood slowly, towering over them all. "This kid didn't walk in here asking for pity. He came with money in his pocket, ready to pay killers. That's desperation." The men understood instantly. It wasn't about $7. It was about saving a child's life before nightfall. The bikers debated their next move. Snake flicked open a knife, the blade catching light. "We ride now. Handle her the way we know." The room buzzed with dangerous agreement, but Hawk shook his head. "Killing's easy. Protecting is harder." He turned to Ethan. "Where's your stepmom?" Ethan swallowed. "Small yellow house, corner of Elm Pine. She drinks at night. She's mean when she drinks." Hawk's jaw tightened. Everyone in the room knew that street. Poor side of town. Houses rotting on their foundations. Cops driving by with windows rolled up. Trouble lived there. "She ever hurt your sister?" Hawk pressed. Ethan's eyes filled with tears. "She locked her in the closet yesterday. She cried until she fell asleep." Silence. Then Rocco stood abruptly. "I'll call social services. Get the law involved." Ethan shook his head violently. "They already came once. She lied, said I made it up. They left." His voice cracked into a whisper. "No one believes me." That was the breaking point. Engines roared to life in the night. 15 motorcycles lined up under the flickering neon. Ethan sat behind Hawk, tiny fingers gripping the leather vest that read Iron Hawk's MC. The boy looked like a shadow clinging to a giant. Hawk raised his fist, and the pack thundered down the road like a storm unleashed. Houses blurred past. Porch lights flickered. Dogs barked. Neighbors peeked through curtains at the wall of steel and rage tearing through their quiet streets. Ethan buried his face into Hawk's back. "Please, don't let her hurt Lily," he whispered. Hawk's voice was steady. "Not tonight. Not ever again." As they neared Elm Pine, blue lights flickered in the distance. Sirens, tank cursed. "Cops are already there." The riders slowed, forming a protective circle as they rolled closer. An ambulance sat crooked in the driveway of a small yellow house. A police cruiser blocked the road. Ethan's body tensed. "Lily," he whispered. Hawk braced himself for the worst. The yard was chaos. Neighbors gathered, murmuring. A paramedic carried a little girl wrapped in a blanket. Lily. Ethan leapt off the bike, sprinting toward her. "Lily!" he cried, collapsing beside her. She clung to him, sobbing. Hawk's chest eased just slightly. She was alive. But then his eyes landed on the figure in handcuffs. A woman, mid-30s, hair matted, eyes wild with drink. She screamed curses at the officers, dragging her to the squad car. "You don't know nothing. Those brats lie. They deserve it." Hawk's fists tightened. It took every ounce of control not to tear through the police line. Sheriff Collins, an old hand who knew Hawk's crew too well, raised his palm. "Back off. This ain't your fight." Hawk stepped forward anyway. She laid hands on children. "That makes it my fight." The sheriff's gaze hardened. "Law's handling it." But Hawk could read the weariness in his eyes. The law might arrest her tonight, but tomorrow bail could set her free. While the cops processed the scene, Ethan tugged Hawk's vest. His voice trembled. "They'll just let her go. She always gets out." Hawk crouched down. "Why do you think that?" Ethan bit his lip. "She tells them I'm lying. Makes me look crazy. She's friends with one of the officers." His words cut like glass. Hawk turned to Rocco. "Check him again." The medic pulled Ethan's shirt higher, revealing fresh bruises layered over old ones, scars tracing down his back. Gasps erupted from the bikers. Tank swore loudly. "How the hell is this missed by anyone?" Hawk's voice was steel. "Because no one wants to see." Sheriff Collins approached, tension thick. "You boys need to leave. Foster care's on their way for these kids." Ethan's face drained. "No, don't take us, please. They'll separate us. They always do." Lily clung tighter to him, crying harder. Hawk stood, blocking the social worker approaching. "You're not taking them. Not tonight." The air turned electric. The social worker straightened, clipboard trembling. "You have no authority. Interfere and you'll be arrested." Hawk didn't flinch. "Try it." Behind him, 15 bikers formed a wall of leather and steel. Neighbors whispered. Cops reached for their holsters. Sheriff Collins raised both hands, voice sharp. "Everyone stand down." Hawk leaned closer to the social worker. "These kids don't need another stranger ripping them apart. They need safety. They need family." She stammered, "Regulations." But another voice cut through. A woman hurried forward, helmet in hand, leather jacket draped over her arm. Maria, Hawk's wife. A nurse, clean record, respected in town. "I'm licensed as an emergency foster parent," she declared, flashing paperwork. The social worker blinked. "That's irregular." Maria's tone sharpened. "But legal. Your rules, not mine." Sheriff Collins gave a tired nod. "It checks out." Relief washed over Ethan's face. For the first time, he allowed himself to breathe. Tonight, at least, he and Lily would not be torn apart. Maria took the children into her arms, leading them gently toward her car. Ethan glanced back, coins still clutched in his palm. "I didn't know where else to go," he whispered to Hawk. Hawk crouched down, pressing the boy's hand closed around the money. "Hold on to it. Someday you'll know why." Ethan nodded, eyes glassy. Just then, the yellow house erupted in a new storm. 2 men emerged from the shadows, shaved heads, tattoos sprawling across arms. One shouted, "Where's our sister?" Another pointed at the bikers. "You mess with family, you mess with us." Snake flicked his knife open instantly. Tank growled, stepping forward. Hawk raised a hand. "Stay calm," Sheriff Collins cursed under his breath. "Last thing we need is a bloodbath." But the men weren't bluffing. One pulled a pistol from his waistband. Screams erupted among the crowd. Hawk's heart slammed. The night wasn't over, it had just begun. Before the gun could rise, headlights blazed across the yard. More motorcycles back up. Half the club had arrived, alerted by Tank's call earlier. Engines rumbled as they rolled in, circling the scene like steel predators. The armed men froze, suddenly outnumbered 10-1. Hawk stepped forward, voice a low growl. "Put the gun down now!" The man's hand shook, but his pride fought back. "She's our blood." Hawk's eyes burned. "And those kids are ours now." For a long second, it seemed the trigger might be pulled. Then, slowly, the gun lowered. Sheriff Collins exhaled in relief. "Get them out of here before I arrest someone." The men retreated into the shadows, muttering threats. The bikers remained tense, ready for more. Hawk turned back to Maria, who had already driven the kids away to safety. He knew this wasn't finished. People like that didn't forgive, they hunted. And Hawk had just put a target on his back. Back at the clubhouse, tension hung like smoke. The men gathered around Hawk. Snake spat on the floor. "We should have ended it right there. Blood for blood." Hawk slammed his fist on the table. "No. These kids need us alive, not locked up." Rocco added, "She'll get bail, Hawk, and those brothers, they'll come back." Hawk paced, restless. The sight of Ethan's bruises haunted him. "Then we stay ready. They'll try something. When they do, we'll be waiting." Tank grinned darkly. "Now you're talking." Outside, thunder rolled across the horizon. Hawk walked out, staring at the storm. In his mind, he saw Ethan's small hand clutching that crumpled money. That boy hadn't asked for protection. He had asked for vengeance. And yet what he truly needed was something far greater. Hawk muttered to himself, voice swallowed by rain. "We don't just fight for him. We fight so he learns family doesn't always hurt." Morning broke gray and heavy. Hawk sat at Maria's kitchen table, watching Ethan and Lily eat cereal like they hadn't seen food in days. Lily giggled when Maria poured extra sugar, a sound so pure it almost cracked Hawk's chest. Ethan, though, ate in silence, eyes darting toward the door like any moment someone might barge in. Hawk leaned forward. "You're safe here, son." Ethan didn't look up. "No one stays safe. She always finds us." Hawk wanted to argue, but he knew the boy's truth. Survivors didn't trust easily. A knock shattered the moment. Hawk's brother stood outside, grim. Rocco held up a folded newspaper. Headline, "Local woman released on bail." Hawk's jaw clenched. It was already happening. Ethan saw the paper and froze. His voice cracked. "She'll come for us." Hawk knelt beside him, hand steady on the boy's shoulder. Let her try. But deep down, Hawk knew this war had only begun. By evening, the threat arrived. A black pickup truck idled down the street, stopping outside Maria's house. Hawk's instincts flared. He motioned for the kids to stay inside. Tank, Snake, and two others emerged from the shadows. They had been waiting, guarding the house. The truck door swung open. Ethan's stepmom stumbled out, shouting. Her brothers flanked her, faces twisted with rage. "You think you can steal my kids?" she screeched. Hawk stepped forward, calm but coiled. "You forfeited them the second you raised a hand," she spat. "They're mine." Ethan's voice rang out from the porch, trembling but fierce. "We're not yours anymore." Her face twisted, but before she could lunge, Hawk's men closed ranks. The brothers sized up the wall of leather and scars. One reached for his belt, but Hawk's stare froze him in place. "Walk away," Hawk warned. For the first time, they hesitated. The war would not be won tonight, but the line had been drawn, the next days blurred with tension. Ethan clung to Lily, watching every car that slowed on the street. Maria tried to create normalcy. Bedtime stories, pancakes, warm blankets. but fear seeped into every corner. Hawk gathered his crew. This isn't just about protecting them. It's about proving monsters don't win. Snake smirked. So what's the plan? Hawk held up Ethan's old flip phone. The boy had handed it to him quietly the night before. My dad gave me this before he died, Ethan had explained. He said to record bad things. On the phone were grainy videos. His stepmom screaming, shoving, hitting. Proof. Dates and times stretching months. Hawk's chest tightened. The boy had carried evidence of his own pain, waiting for someone to believe him. This changes everything, Hawk murmured. Rocco nodded. With this, she's not walking free again. For the first time, victory felt within reach. But Hawk knew her brothers wouldn't go quietly. The evidence was delivered to the prosecutor. Charges multiplied overnight. Child abuse, neglect, endangerment. Bail skyrocketed beyond reach. Ethan's stepmom wasn't going anywhere this time. Relief swept the clubhouse, but Hawk knew better than to celebrate. Sure enough, the retaliation came fast. Late one night, the brothers returned, this time with friends. 3 trucks pulled into the motel parking lot, where Maria had moved the kids temporarily for safety. Engines cut, doors slammed. Men stepped out with bats, chains, and a shotgun, glinting under the streetlight. Hawk and his crew were already waiting. Engines roared to life, headlights cutting across the lot. 15 bikers stood shoulder to shoulder, weapons at their sides. The attackers hesitated, realizing too late they were outmatched. Hawk's voice sliced the night. One step closer, and none of you leave standing. Silence stretched. Then slowly they retreated, muttering threats into the dark. That night, the legend of the Iron Hawks grew teeth. Word spread across town. The Iron Hawks weren't just outlaws, they were protectors. Neighbors who once crossed the street now nodded respectfully. The kids at school stopped whispering when Ethan walked by. He wasn't just that boy with bruises anymore. He was the boy bikers rode for. One afternoon, Hawk found Ethan sitting alone on the clubhouse steps, clutching those same coins. Why are you still holding on to that money? Hawk asked gently. Ethan shrugged. Because it's all I had when I asked for help. I thought it would buy me killers. But it bought me something else. Hawk tilted his head. What's that? Ethan's eyes softened. Our family. The words hit Hawk harder than any fist. He reached out, pulling the boy close. For men who lived in shadows, redemption rarely knocked. But tonight, in the arms of a boy who finally felt safe, it had arrived on steel wheels. Months passed. Ethan and Lily settled into Maria's care, laughter slowly replacing fear. Court ruled permanently against their stepmom, stripping her of custody. The brothers vanished from town, rumors saying the Hawks convinced them relocation was healthy. Hawk never confirmed or denied. Life steadied, but scars lingered. One night, Ethan asked Hawk quietly, "Do you think people can change?" Hawk considered. Some, not all. But you don't need her to change. You just need to know you're not her. Ethan's brow furrowed. Then who am I? Hawk smiled. You're the kid who walked into a biker bar with $7 and enough courage to change your whole life. Ethan held the coins tighter. He was beginning to understand. Sometimes strength wasn't fists or fury. It was the bravery to ask for help, and to believe somehow that someone might listen. Years blurred like asphalt under tires. Ethan grew tall, shoulders broadening, eyes steady. He rode on the back of Hawk's bike often, learning the rhythm of the road, the language of engines. Lily danced in Maria's kitchen, her giggles filling the air. But Ethan never forgot. He still carried the coins everywhere, tucked in a small pouch. On his 15th birthday, he placed them on the bar counter of the clubhouse. I want these here, he told Hawk. The men gathered, watching. Hawk lifted the pouch high. These $7 bought us more than beer or bullets. They bought us a chance to be men worth following. He set them in a frame above the bar. Every Thursday when the Hawks gathered, the coins caught the light. A reminder that sometimes the smallest offerings carry the greatest weight. Ethan grew into a man the Hawks were proud of. He studied hard, worked part-time, and never let bitterness shape him. Hawk often caught him helping neighbors, fixing bikes for free, carrying groceries for the elderly. "Kid's got more heart than all of us combined," Tank muttered one night. Hawk just nodded, pride swelling silently. One evening, Ethan approached him. "I want to ride with you guys someday. Not because I need protection anymore, but because I want to give it." Hawk placed a heavy hand on his shoulder. "That day will come. But remember, it's not the leather that makes you family. It's what's in here." He tapped Ethan's chest. Ethan nodded. For the first time, Hawk saw not just a boy saved from pain, but a man rising from it, proof that even broken beginnings can birth unbreakable futures. Years later, Ethan brought his own children into the clubhouse. They stared wide-eyed at the framed coins above the bar. "What's that, Daddy?" one asked. Ethan smiled softly. "The reason you're safe today." Hawk, now grayer but still iron-strong, watched from his chair. He knew then that legacy wasn't about fear or reputation. It was about moments where men chose to be guardians instead of monsters. The room filled with laughter, clinking glasses, and the steady heartbeat of engines outside. Ethan's story became legend, told and retold as a reminder that courage sometimes looks like a little boy walking into a biker bar with nothing but bruises and 7 crumpled dollars, and finding, instead of killers, an army of angels dressed in leather. Sometimes the bravest act is simply asking for help. Ethan's $7 didn't buy death. They bought him life, family, and hope. If this story touched you, please like, subscribe, and press the bell icon.